Apparo tutorials. Default and constant values. Default and constant values are predefined values that can be used with fixed or calculated values. The user can change default values, like here the default color black. But he can't change constant values, they're always applied. We start this tutorial with the feature, default values, and our example table business case. Default values can be used in filtering widgets, and also in editing widgets. In filtering widgets, default values are used to pre-filter the business case data. In editing widgets, default values are used to pre-fill the insert area with often used values, or values that show the required data format. We will now set the checkbox to be checked by default, and black as the default product color. Default values can be set in the widget settings under Mapping and Other. The value for checked is 1, so we enter the number 1 into the default value property. Then we enter the widget settings of the product color, and enter the string black in the default value property. We run the business case again, to check the result. We find black as the default color, and the checkbox is checked. In addition to fixed values, all types of variables can be used. These can be values, calculated in a variable, as well as predefined variables. As an example, we add the variable current date to the widget product start date. Then we run the business case again. We have now added the current date as default. If the user does not enter anything, and clicks OK, or Close, to submit the data, FastEdit does not save a new row. The user has to enter or change values in the insert area first. Other than constant values, default values can be changed by the user. When clicking OK now, a new row is inserted. Let's have a look at the default values in the filtering area. In the checkbox filter, we use the fix value 1 again. And in the multi-select filter, product line, we will use a variable. The most frequently used variable type here is the report variable. Report variables are used to transport values from reports to a business case, or from one business case to another. We have used this example already in the tutorial videos, embedding in ClickSense or Cognos Analytics. To simulate this, we will use the default values here. The default values are only used if the business case is started, and the report variable does not contain any values. We switch to the product line filter widget, and enter the just created variable in the default value property. This lookup widget is expecting number values, but we have used a string. With the parameter use labels, we also can use the lookup label values. More information you can find when using the description mode. It can be activated with the hanging green button on the right side. Via the variables picker, we insert our new report variable. We will run the business case again to check the result. As we can see, our data is filtered by the values we used in the default value properties. And also here, the user can change the default values and use the filters as desired. Besides the standard default values, you can also use different default values for different user groups. We open the Features menu and enable the Security Group Dependent Behavior. Then we edit the widget product color again. The default value contains now a new setting. You can select if the default value applies for all users, or set different default values for different user groups. Simply enter the user group and the default value, and click on Add. You can use fixed values, and also variables. To delete an entry, click the X button on the right side. When using specified user groups, the standard default value is ignored. Now we have a look at the constant values. The big difference is, constant values are always applied, and the user cannot change this value. There are 5 options. Do not use constant values, use constant values in insert case, use constant values in insert and update case. And both options again, with an additional variable check. The constant value will be used only if a variable returns true. First, we test the insert case only option. Here, we enter black, and run the business case. We insert a new data row. For testing purposes, we enter green as product color. As you can see, the value green was ignored, and the constant value black was stored. To avoid confusions, we can also use black as default value. This will display the value in the insert area. We can also set this widget to be read-only in the insert area. Let's run the business case again to see the result. The value black is now displayed, and can no longer be changed by the user. Other than default values, constant values cannot be used in the filter area. For fixed filters, use the global business case filter, which can also be security group dependent. Constant values are often used for storing metadata, like timestamps, user names, departments and so on. Constant values are written into read-only, or hidden widgets too. Other application areas are calculated data, like here the product ID. When using group-dependent constant values, the main constant value can serve as default constant value, which will be applied when the user is not a member of the set security groups. With the option, use constant value if variable returns true, you can use a calculation in a variable, which decides if the constant value shall be applied, or not. This option can be combined with the group-dependent constant values. One last hint. Constant values are applied when inserting or updating manually, and also when using any kind of Excel import. But there is one special case you should know. If we use a widget that is part of the primary key, like here the product ID, and the constant value is set to be used in insert case only, the constant value will not be applied due logical reasons. The system does not know if the Excel import does an insert or an update. In this case you can either use the option, use constant value in insert and update case, or you can set it to insert case only, and additionally use the default value, which will be used if the constant value is not applied. Questions? Send an email to support@apparo.solutions.